Bukasa is a sprawling Kampala suburb, mostly inhabited by the well-to-do. But below the high-end houses lies Chitalangwa Swamp, which separates Bukasa from the Gaba suburb. These swamps were previously waterlogged and swarming with papyrus, but over time, they have been destroyed by the rich and the poor. Most of the people reclaiming the swamps have land titles.
It's almost disappeared.
I've seen it.
They are narrowing and narrowing and narrowing it.
I've seen it.
Human settlement, bungalows, flats, storage buildings. So should we say those don't concern NEMA?
They concern us. But first of all the structures, we have confirmed them with the city council. They are not approved by anybody, even city council.
People have lost trust in NEMA. They feel you're basically doing nothing, watching the rich men deplete all the swamps and also the poor encroach on the very swamps that should be protected.
The failures by other institutions of government to do their work are reflected in our work. That's what is happening. If you go there, there's cases here, Wakiso, for instance, there, Tikira Town Council. You go and build a house there without attempt to build a house, normal house without, you'll not last long. The inspectors will come and ask for documents. So you tell her where those buildings, they are built with the knowledge of some people. So I'm just trying to tell that.
So is the encroachment of on these wetlands a political problem?
No, maybe both. Political, poverty, and economic.
Does it surprise you when you stand at the hill of Bukasa in Muyenga and look at what is happening in Gaba, how the wetland has been encroached on? Does it surprise you?
Yeah, it is surprising. Because no. That's why I repeat. The institutions at that level must prevent this. That is the fiscal planning committees, area planning committees.
I tend to be a bit sympathetic to my staff. For instance, an RDC is a representative of the president in the district. If he comes to a mere staff, a district staff, and directs him to do something, what do you expect? People are just yearning to have, job security.
In the Butabika suburb, which neighbors Lake Victoria, some people own land titles in the lake.
This is the time when we were running a manual system. A manual system is when we were plotting on a cadastral manual maps. But a digital system is we were able to detect these other...
So who wouldn't see manually that there is a lake here? Who wouldn't see that there is a lake? And you'll continue, you go and give, you even put a block number.
Yes, under the manual system, it's very difficult to see the lake because you don't have that layer.
Lutembe Swamp, off the Kampala and Mukono highway, is another natural water catchment, disappearing at a fast rate.
According to a wetland report, there are over 145 titles that were given to various people in Lutembe wetland that you see around here. And the main problem that we've found out is that most of the officials from NEMA and also the district land board hardly come on the ground to access the area and assess the impact before giving out those titles.
So we are rectifying them. We have what we call a field verification team, which looks into this and then they verify.
According to the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, the environment watchdog only intervenes when someone wants to start a business in a wetland.
Because what we have done is provide knowledge, information and tools to give them start when they are deciding on allocating and know that here is not allowed in the wetland.
And you're only waiting for people to come and apply for permits who want to do business there. But people are constructing storage buildings. Some of them are for rent. Is there that business?
That brings me the aspect of attitude. What attitude do we have? The attitude that the population has. Must everything be policed?
Government annually allocates NEMA 600 million shillings for the enforcement of laws against environmental degradation.
The public expects more than the public expectations of what we do is beyond what we can afford.
Another water catchment that has suffered massive encroachment is the Lubigi wetland.
The fisheries depend on these wetlands, especially in terms of breeding. The tilapia and some of the species actually breed within, but some of them escape predators, so they take cover in the wetlands. So again, because of the, and you know they are very sensitive to silt because of the gills. So the moment they get clogged with in the gills, that's the end of the story. So so again, we've seen that a lot of the fisheries may be one of the reasons maybe why we are having a reduction.
So who do you blame?
I don't want to blame NEMA.
Who do you blame then?
Other than NEMA.
Who?
The people who are there. The Ugandans, the constitution of Uganda gives a responsibility to every Ugandan. Now, if people deliberately set out to outwit government, outwit authority, and try to cover themselves through the legal regimes and whatever, then you find that we are not, NEMA is not omnipotent.
We should emphasize that the Constitution, Article 237 of the Constitution, actually Part 2 of that Article 237 states that government shall hold in trust and protect for the people wetlands among other natural resources.
Most of the people who have settled in the wetlands use latrines and pour in affluents, which contaminate water pouring into Lake Victoria, the world's biggest freshwater lake. The gutters between the encroached areas flow with smelly water containing all sorts of waste.
Especially in what we call the bays, the sheltered areas of the lake. Now, what we see as green is actually blue-green algae, which is thriving on the low oxygen that has now been created because of these excessive nutrients that have taken up everything. So you get this blue-green algae, which is actually very dangerous to our environment, especially in the water.
According to National Water and Sewerage Corporation, they have to spend a lot of money to treat water to make it safer for consumption because of pollution.
But the section of the lake just behind here in the inner Maction Bay, which are almost considered dead, because when you dig out there, you'll find there maggots, which actually are supposed to appear in graves.
This also contributes to the price of water in Kampala.
National Water has been developing strategies. They push the pipe much further, but as you know, there's an extent to which you can push it.
Kampala residents have borne the brunt of environmental degradation.
Kampala is going to be extremely hot, and if you combine it with now all the buildings, they are all releasing heat. You had the border borders, they are all releasing gases which are increasing. So we don't want to reach situations we are seeing like now in China, where some days I think people even can't move because of the smog.
What needs to be done to avert such eventualities?
Our recommendation is that all investments, whether they are local or international, should actually be all brought under the one framework, which is the Uganda Investment Authority. Because that as the one-stop center will help to ensure that if the environmental issues, they are sorted out before these investors invest or get into the details and make investments.
Although government has begun the process of cancelling all title deeds in the wetlands, experts estimate that it will cost billions of dollars to restore the degraded or lost wetlands. Others have called for political will to fix the problem of wetland encroachment, or else the desert will come to Uganda. In our part 1 and part 2 on the disappearing wetlands within Wakiso and also Kampala, you realize that what played out most was a blame game amongst the authorities who are supposed to be protecting these wetlands. In our final part, we're going to be looking at a man who has managed to eke a living from Chinawataka swamp without reclaiming it. Sudil Biyaruhanga, NTV.